Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh Morgan, and I'm Eric Morgan's oldest son. We're coming to you today from Organic Approach in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's starting to get a little hot out there, so I'm not too bummed that I'm in the conference room talking with you. Today we're going to be discussing one of the many building blocks of a healthy soil ecosystem. We need to put ourselves first in the right frame of mind. We understand what dirt is, we understand what soil is. Soil is moist, it's not compacted, it's not dry, it's not light in color, it's darker. It has all the beneficial biological building blocks of a healthy soil ecosystem. Plants and soil have adapted together over many millennia, as far as time can tell. And in doing so, plants naturally have adapted to grow with the resources that are available to them within the soil. We don't necessarily always have to give them loads and loads of synthetic fertilizer. If we give that kind of stuff to our plants and nothing else that it requires, it's like taking a bunch of anabolic steroids until we're 30 years old and wondering why our joints in our heart and vascular system collapse. What we do here at Organic Approach is we approach it from the back forward. We reverse engineer the soil ecosystem, we find the biology within, we break it down, we define it, and we learn how to apply it. Today we're going to be talking about mycorrhiza and its root relationships with woody ornamentals and many of the other plants in the world. Mycorrhiza, by definition, is the symbiotic relationship between the mycelium of a natural and beneficial fungus with the root of a seed plant. Basically, what mycorrhiza is a bunch of tiny little spores that are naturally occurring in healthy soil environments all over the world. They connect with roots, attach to them, and then form fruiting bodies called hyphae. These fungal hyphae extend out into the rhizosphere in search of things like water, micronutrients, macronutrients, and trace elements. The hyphae are capable of exuding enzymes that can assist with the breakdown of micro and macronutrients. These hyphae can penetrate different corridors in the soil that are far too small for regular plant roots to actually go into. Because of that, they drastically facilitate absorption of all these good things that our plants need on a daily basis. Two different kinds of mycorrhiza in general. We have first the endomycorrhiza. This is the largest subclass of mycorrhizal fungus. Endomycorrhiza form root relationships with more than 80% of the world's vascular plants. They do this by colonizing the root first on the surface, then they shoot off what's called an aprosorium, which is essentially a specified germ tube that attaches to the root, and it shoots into the root all the good stuff that was in the spore after it germinated. That forms an arbuscule on the interior of the root, which then is capable of forming hyphae through the interior root as well as through the rhizosphere. Ectomycorrhiza work a little bit differently. Ectomycorrhiza form root relationships with roughly 10% of the world's vascular plants, some say a little bit less, and they actually form their root relationships on the outside of the root. So these are more with your, like some hard woody trees. It's not quite as common. A lot of plants form root relationships with endo and ecto, and there are many, many strains. So we won't get too far into this right now. All we need to understand is that the symbiotic relationship of the mycelium of mycorrhizal spores with woody plants is extremely important for capturing all of these things that exist within our soil ecosystem. Now, the way that this relationship is symbiotic, we have to explain. Because so far what we've done is we've only explained how the mycelium and the fungus actually help the plant. So what the plant does in return is it supplies the fungus, the mycorrhizae, with photosynthate, sugar, carbohydrates, a bunch of different photosynthate products that essentially are food for these mycorrhizal spores. Now, the mycorrhiza can take that from the plant and it can form these hyphae, and then the hyphae can send back nutrients and water and microbes and traces and all the good stuff to the plant. So this is really a highly specialized and adapted organism here that is very, very, very important to our soil ecosystem. Now, although mycorrhiza are naturally occurring in many soil environments across the world, there are a multitude of challenges that essentially create worse environments where it's harder for mycorrhizae to actually propagate and have strong communities. So some of these are listed over here. We've enumerated just a couple of the major challenges to mycorrhizal colonies, and some of them are drought, things like really arid climates, desert climates. We've got shifting weather patterns globally, constantly. These happen over periods of thousands of years. One day it's hot, one day it's cold. We've got compaction, severe compaction from overdevelopment, land use, you name it. We've got salt-laden coastal soils. We've got pollution from agricultural over-intensification maybe, herbicides, pesticides, things that like to kill biology, things that aren't conducive to our beneficial bacterial ecosystem down here. So all of these different things are challenges to mycorrhizal populations. Because of this, we need to take mycorrhiza sometimes and reintroduce it, because it is such an effective method of getting what's down in our soil that's locked up, that's not available to our plants, up into that root system and making them happy and healthy for many days to come. In that sense, we can think of it as drought insurance too sometimes. Helps with the water that we don't have, at a certain time of season, late summer, it gets really dry, it gets really hot. We've got mycorrhizal colonies on our roots. We've got hyphae deep underground going through all the nooks and crannies that the roots usually couldn't reach. Maybe that plant isn't going to suffer as much as the one next door. So thank you for bearing with me, everybody. I have for you here a couple of products that we manufacture here at Organic Approach. Now, recently we've started rebagging a couple of these. Most of them have been around for some time. And now they're coming in these convenient little transplant packs. We heat seal them. You can rip them off. You can open them up. Here, we'll take a granular one. It won't be quite as messy for me. So if you aren't sure exactly what kind of mycorrhiza your plant is capable of forming root relationships with, we've got it all right here. That comes in a nice, easy granule, easy to work with, easy to throw in right around that root ball as you're planting a tree. Fits right in the tree truck in between your sunflower seeds and your gallon of drinking water, no problem. Good stuff. This product also contains a bunch of other things that plants like. We've got some soluble seaweed extract, a little bit of humate. This is similar. This is HyphaLink EEI. It's a lot similar in composition, except it's soluble. This stuff can go in your tank mix. Just sprinkle it right in, goes into solution. We're not clogging screens, and we're getting spores sprayed out, maybe for hydro seeding or something like that. Over here we have HyphaLink Nourish. This is really a Cadillac product. This has a couple less spores and colony propagating units than some of these other products do, but it's still in here, and that's why it's called HyphaLink, because of those hyphae that are down there on those endomycorrhizal spores and ectomycorrhizal spores. This product, also soluble, extremely rich with beneficial food substrates for all the bacteria and fungi that are down there, and a bunch of other things that plants love. Past that, we've got HyphaLink Pure Endo. This one's a little bit newer, and we brought it around for a couple reasons. A lot of the research on mycorrhiza is lacking for some time. We know about as much about fungi as we do about our oceans, which is very little. So until recently, everybody was using the shotgun approach. They were throwing every mycorrhizal strain that's generic at plants, figuring something would work, but maybe you weren't getting all the bang for your buck, because maybe there's 7 strains of mycorrhizae in this product that you don't need for a specific plant. So this started as being generated a little bit more toward the cannabis industry. But since then it's really taken off. We've discussed earlier, endomycorrhiza form root relationships with more than 80% of the world's vascular plants. That's enough for me to buy this. This has multiple strains of endomycorrhiza, so our bases are pretty covered in that sense. And it's in that nice, comfy little handy transplant pack right for the truck. So listen, everybody. This is something that is worldwide. It's something that hydro seeders can benefit from, tree care guys, golf superintendents, greenhouses, homeowners for your vegetable gardens in your backyard. So many plants form root relationships with endomycorrhiza, and we've really done a good job of sterilizing our soils and turning them back into dirt by treating them kind of irresponsibly over the last couple hundred years. Let's take control back into our hands. Let's become the conductors of our soil symphony, and let's put the first chair violin back into the game. So, from Organic Approach, I'm Josh Morgan. Thank you for your patience with me with my first video, and y'all take care now. Bye.